So we're going to look at the use of structured English as a way of defining what a process does. Now, structured English is not quite as formal as maybe using pseudocode, but it follows the same sort of structure and style. So we're going to look first of all at the use of the sequence, or the use of structured English to define a sequence. And as you might remember from looking at our software structures, that the sequence is simply a list of commands or a list of statements that need to be run. So for instance, in structured English we may say something along the lines of multiply price by quantity, given net price. So that would be one statement, and then you might say something along the lines of multiply let's do that again, multiply net price by 0.2 giving the VAT. Okay, so then we might say add VAT to net price given the gross price. So three instructions or three commands executed in sequence, and the structured English version here just of what the code would actually do. So that was quite a long-winded way of doing it. We could sort of shorten this a little bit and say something like calculate net price equals quantity times price, and the same sort of thing for the other lines as well, just to sort of reduce the amount of writing or typing you need to do. Okay, so we'll also look at selection, and selection is where we sort of choose which code path to take. So we look at a condition and we decide what to do. So our condition might say something like if battery is flat. So if the battery is flat, we will charge the battery. Okay, so the condition here is what the charge of the battery is, and then note that this is indented, so it easily can be seen that we charge the battery under this condition. We can have an else, so if this isn't true, then this else will run instead. So if the battery is charged, so it is not flat, battery is not flat, we shall say. So the battery is not flat. We may say make a call, send a text. Okay, and again we can see that this is indented, which indicates that this only happens under the else part of the if statement. So if its battery is flat, we charge the battery, and then we don't do the else. If the battery isn't charged, then we do the else part, we make the call, and we might send the text message. Now we can actually, what we could say, call nest these. So we could actually have another if here that says if 3G signal. Okay, so if we're getting a 3G signal, we might choose to browse the internet. Okay, and again this is indented once because it's underneath the else, and once again because it's now part of this if statement. And then if we don't have a 3G signal, well then we're not going to browse the internet. And then to show that, well, when we get to finish the if statement, any code that we get down here, so we might say, let's say, I don't know, watch TV. Okay, so this will run after we've checked all this. So if the battery is flat, we'll charge the battery, then go watch TV. If the battery is not flat, we'll make a call, send a text message. If we've got a 3G signal, we'll browse the internet. If we haven't got a 3G signal, we will just not browse the internet and then continue to watch TV. So we'll end up watching TV regardless. But the structure here is that the things that happen as part of the if statement are indented, and if we nest if statements, then we indent those again. Now that was an if statement. Now another option is to use, again for selection, we might use a select, and we will select a particular case. So we'll say select case. Now the cases will be different scenarios if we like. So we may say case, let's say it's raining. We may have a case where it's sunny. We may have a case where it is snowing. So we will look basically at the weather here. So we will select this case if it's raining. Let's say put on raincoat. If it's sunny, we will say put on sunblock. And if it's snowing, we will say put on snowshoes. So we will select one of these cases, and only one of these will happen. So if it's raining, we will put on a raincoat. If it's sunny, put on sunblock. If it's snowing, we will put on our snowshoes. And then after we've selected one of these, we will then carry on. Okay, so this gets, we go to the shop in either our raincoat with our sunblock on or with our snowshoes. So then we have our last structure, which is iteration. An iteration is doing things many times, okay, a loop if you like. So with iteration, with our structured English, we might use words like repeat, repeat until a particular condition is true, or we might have something along the lines of while and end while. So we've got two options here. Repeat will do something once and it may repeat after that. While may not repeat at all, but it will check to see if the while is true, then it will continue to repeat. So if we look at the repeat, we may say something like, so we might say repeat. So that's the start of our loop, and then within this we will then say what we want to repeat. So we might repeat, so I might say something like repeat, repeat, I don't know, let's do some exercise, repeat push-ups, okay, and then we'll say until we are tired. So we'll try and do at least one push-up, and if we've still got some energy left, we will repeat and then do another push-up. Now with the while case, instead of doing it once anyway and then seeing if we should continue, we will say something like while not tired. So while we're not tired, we will do a push-up, and then we need to say that we finish the loop by putting end while, So we'll check to see if we're tired. If we're not tired, we'll try and do a push-up. We will then loop around, check to see if we're tired again, and if we're not, we'll do a push-up. It could be that we come here and we decide that we are tired, so we don't actually do any push-ups at all.